Hello, friends. Welcome to today's class. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining from the WhatsApp group. I'll be starting in a short while. Okay. Okay, so we'll be starting in a short while. Give me a minute. Okay, so I've shared the live to the WhatsApp group. So we'll be starting in less than a minute. So today's topic is bearing. Bearing. Please, I want to confirm if you guys can see the board. Okay, I think it's better now. So today's topic is bearing, and is a continuation on our lessons on trigonometry. Okay, we've looked at Lawrence. Nice to see you. Welcome. The board is seen. Okay, so we've looked at Pythagoras theorem in our first lesson last week. Also last week we looked at SOHCAHTOA. So today we are looking at bearing. So bearing is under trigonometry. Okay, it's one of the topics under trigonometry. And last week, the students that were in the live session agreed that we should continue by learning about bearing. Okay, so the first thing we need to know is what is bearing, because you need to understand what the topic is. What is bearing? Good evening, Virginia, sorry. Good evening, Virginia. So bearing is an angle measured from naught between 2 points. So bearing is an angle measured from naught between 2 points. So if I have a point here, the first thing I need to locate is the naught direction. So naught is upward. So naught is upward. Bearing is an angle measured from naught between 2 points. So the first thing you locate is your naught direction. Then we know that if you have an angle like this, the total angle here is 360 degrees. We know that. Okay? From basic trigonometry. a total revolution is 360 degrees. However, if you have another point here, let's call it point B. This is point A, and this is point B. The bearing here means the direction of B. The direction of B. Sorry, good evening. The direction of B. So another way of calling bearing is direction. Direction. So the direction of B from A is the angle you are going to turn before you face B. So if you want to know the bearing of B from A, you are going to check this angle. This angle you are going to turn from facing north, the angle you are going to turn before you can go towards B. That determines the bearing. So one of the applications of bearing is in navigation. Most students say they don't understand the application of most of the topics that we learn in mathematics, but this is a very practical topic, okay? Most of us use GPS when we are going to places to locate a particular place. What helps you to track a location is on the foundation of bearing. So this topic is very important in navigation. So you see a sailor wants to travel from one country to another. Bearing helps the sailor to move from one country to another. Also in aviation, you can use it in aircraft travel. Bearing is also important. Also, if you are going to a place you don't know, while you're walking on the road, you can use your GPS to navigate to get to where you want to go. So bearing is very important. Another word for bearing is direction. Direction. Okay? So whenever you're writing bearing, bearing is always in 3 figures. So if I want to write this bearing here, let's say this bearing is 45 degrees. So if I want to write this bearing, it's going to be 0.45 degrees. So take note of that. Bearing is always written in 3 figures. While it is here, you can write it as 2 figures, but if you want to give your final answer, bearing is always written as 3 figures. Okay, so from this diagram, there are 3 things we should take note of. To get the bearing of B from A, you imagine yourself standing here and facing the north. Okay, the first thing you do, you imagine that you are standing at A and you are facing the north. And then you turn clockwise, not anti-clockwise. You turn clockwise until you are facing the direction of B. Okay, that becomes the bearing of B from A. So you turn clockwise until you are facing the direction of B. That becomes the bearing of B from A. But there are 2 things we need to note here. Okay, we need to note the word from. We've not started solving anything. We are just introducing the topic. You need to note the word from. So there's a difference between B from A and A from B. Okay, that's not the same bearing. Bearing of B from A is different from the bearing of A from B. Okay. So the bearing of B from A means I'm starting from A and I'm going to B. B from A. B from A means I'm starting at A and I'm moving towards B. So if you are told to find the bearing of B from A, where you will start from is A. So you're going to start at A and find the bearing of B, or find the direction of B. But if you are told that you should find the bearing of A from B, this means you're going to start at B. B becomes your start point, and you're going to end up at A. So that's very important because you might face a question and they'll tell you to find the bearing of A from B while you're looking for the bearing of B from A, and you might get the wrong answer. So you check which one is the start point and which one is your final destination. Okay. Hope you guys are following. Okay, so we're going to look at an example right now, considering this situation. Okay, we're going to look at an example right now, considering this situation. Can we continue? Can we continue? Please, you can share the live class with any of your friends. Even at the end of the class, if you have any friend that needs to learn about any of the topics we are considering, you can always share the videos with them. Okay, let's look at an example. The bearing of B from A is 0.5. Find Okay, so we want to consider this simple example. We are told that the bearing of B from A is 0.45 degrees or 45 degrees. Now we're expected to find the bearing of A from B. So what I just told you some minutes ago, this is a practical example of that. So initially you are told the bearing of B from A. That means the start point was A and the direction was to get to B. And then when you get to B, they're asking you what direction will you take to come back to A. Okay, so the bearing of B from A means we are starting from A. Okay, so this is point A, and let's get our north direction. So this is our north direction, and then we need to travel at an angle of 45 degrees. So we know that here is 90 degrees, so 45 degrees will be along this line, about this, and then we get to B. This is point B. But this journey can continue like this if you like. I'm going to wipe off this B. Okay. So the bearing here is 45 degrees. The bearing there is 45 degrees. So if we decide to continue along this journey, let's consider the north direction. Sorry. So the question is find the bearing of A from B. Find the bearing of A from B means you've gotten to B and you want to come back to A. What will be the direction? Will you continue moving on this straight line? If you continue moving on that straight line, you will never come back to A, right? So if you continue moving in this direction, you will never come back to A. That means you need to walk in the opposite direction. The question is, what is that direction? What is the bearing of your new journey? Okay, so let's look at that. We already know that here is 45 degrees. But we can see that here there's an angle on a straight line. There's an angle on a straight line. And who can remind us? Angle on a straight line is equal to what? Angle on a straight line is equal to what? Angle on a straight line is equal to, who can remind us? Sum of angle on a straight line is equal to what? If many of us don't know that answer, then that means we need to go back to learn about angles. We need to go back to 180 degrees, correct? So sum of angles on a straight line is equal to 180 degrees. Okay, that means this angle here is equal to 180 degrees. And remember that bearing is measured from the north. This entire turn, in order to come back to A, this is A, sorry. In order to come back to A, this entire turn that you make is your bearing. So you want to turn back, and you're going to turn back in the clockwise direction, not the anti-clockwise direction. So this entire angle is your bearing, and we know that here is 180 degrees. That means the bearing of A from B, bearing of A from B is equal to 45 degrees plus 180 degrees. So the bearing of A from B is 45 degrees plus 180 degrees. And that will give us Lucky, good evening. Nice to see you. 225 degrees. So that means the bearing of A from B is 225 degrees. Remember the bearing of B from A is 45 degrees. So you can see the difference in bearing. One is B from A, the other is A from B, and the bearing are different. We'll look at another example. Let's look at another example quickly. The bearing of y from x is 120 degrees. The bearing of y from x is 120 degrees. Find the bearing of x from y. The bearing of y from x is 120 degrees. Now we're expected to find the bearing of x from y. Okay, so the initial one is from x. So that means from x means we are starting from x. So we have point x here, and we have, so if you move like this, this is 90 degrees, this is 180 degrees. That means the direction of y will be around this direction. So this bearing is 120 degrees. 120 degrees. So now this is x, This point is point Y. Okay, so we've located point Y. Next, we want to locate the bearing of X from Y. This means we want to go back to X. Probably we were on a journey, we went to Y to do something, and we've done what we wanted to do. We want to go back to X. So what direction are we going to go? Are we going to continue in this direction? The answer is no. We can't continue in that direction, right? So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So we know that if we continue on this journey, this bearing, we already know it to be 120 degrees. We already know it to be 120 degrees. But over here, we have a straight angle on a straight line. We have angle on a straight line, which is 180 degrees. Remember, the bearing is in the clockwise direction. That means if we want to go back to X, our bearing is this entire turn. This entire turn is our bearing. This entire turn is our bearing. Okay? Because it's a clockwise turn. So bearing of X from Y is equal to 120 degrees plus 180 degrees. 120 degrees plus 180 degrees. That becomes the bearing of. Yeah, someone is saying no. What are you saying no to? Okay, so the bearing is equal to 300 degrees. That becomes the bearing of X from Y. The bearing of X from Y. Okay. So let's continue. Let's continue. So I'd like you to try this before we continue. I'd like you guys to try this in 5 minutes or less. 5 minutes or less. So this is a little bit different. Construction. Probably we'll do that in the next class because I don't really have the instruments to do the construction right now. So probably we can look at that in the next class. 390 degrees. This question is a little bit different from the first two questions. So it's a little bit different. Remember, your bearing is the clockwise direction. So when you get to Q, you want to go back to P, check the clockwise direction, what you have. It's a little bit different from the first two. And bearing cannot be 390 degrees. But that 390 degrees gives you an idea of what that answer should be. Yeah, 390 degrees. Who else is giving an answer? $360. As I said, this is a little bit different from the first two we did. Two minutes more. You can get the answer basically by observation, observing the clockwise direction. 30 degrees, okay? Lucky Touch could say 30 degrees. As I told Virginia, the 390 degrees you got gives you an idea what the correct answer would have been. To give you an idea of the correct answer, Lucky got the correct answer. So try to see how Lucky got the correct answer. One minute more. Okay, let's look at it together. So we're told that the bearing of Q from P is 210 degrees. So let's look at it. We are moving from P. So this is P. So the first thing we do is to get the north direction. And we know that here is 90, here is 180, here is 270. So that means 210 is between 180 and 270. So it's going to be around here. And then the space here is 30 degrees. That space here is 30 degrees. The space between 180 and 210 is 30 degrees. This entire space, we know it to be 210, but this small space here between 180 and 210 is 30 degrees. Then you do this. Sorry. So you've gotten to point Q, and you want to go back to point P. So the bearing is simple. In this situation, When you have two angles in this form, what are they called? When you have two angles in this form, what are they called? Do you know what two angles that are like this called? Alternate angles. So if you have two angles that form an N or form a Z, they are called alternate angles. And alternate angles are equal. Now, if you look at this shape here, you have something that looks like an alternate angle. Okay, you have something that looks like this. So if you see a situation like this, and you know that this extra angle here is 30 degrees, that means this angle here, remember, the bearing is clockwise direction. So this clockwise direction here is 30 degrees. So that means the bearing of, because the bearing means the direction of P, this is P, the direction of P from Q is 30 degrees. So in this situation, what we use to get the answer is alternate angles. Okay. So alternate angles can also be applied in getting the answers to bearing in this kind of situation. It makes it easier, especially when you are getting smaller angles. Okay. Can we continue? I think we can. Can I subtract 120 from, or can I subtract 120 from 180 to get, yeah, there's another way you can do it. Let's see. There's another way you can do it. But this alternate angles method makes it easy. So if you have P here, so we know that the direction is this way, and you have naught. This is 30 degrees, we know. So what is left here, because if you continue this journey, there is a 180 here, right? There's a 180 here. So we can, so this entire angle is 180 degrees, right? Because it's a straight line, this entire angle is 180 degrees. But from here, which is 210 to 360, 210 to 360 is 150 degrees. From 210 to 360, 360 divided by 360 minus 210 will give you 150 degrees. So if you want to get this extra, this x, which is the bearing, you can do 180 degrees minus 150 degrees. And that will also give you 30 degrees. Okay, so that can also give you 30 degrees. This entire stretch is 180, but from here to here is 150. So if you subtract this from this, you get this extra space here, which is 30 degrees. So that can also do that. So it depends on the one that feels easier for you. You can use anyone. Okay, let's continue. Hope you guys are okay with that. Okay. So this is a recorded class, so you can watch the video over and over again, even if you don't understand it for the first time, you can watch it again. Okay, let's look at an example again. Okay, so a ship at sea sees two ports, A and B. So if you look at this ship is S, and from this ship, it can view two ports. Now the question is, find the bearing of B from S. Who can tell us the bearing of B from S? From this diagram we have here, what do you think is the bearing of B from S? What is the bearing of B from S? By observation, who can tell us the bearing? And some other person should tell us. Okay. Please put if you are talking about B from S, put B from S and then give us the answer. If you're talking about S from B, put S from B and then give the answer. So this will drive home the understanding of the difference between this and this. Are all the students out of the class? Or we are still here? Okay, Lawrence said 22. 220. As I said earlier, if you are giving the answer for B from S, you write B from S and then put your answer. If you are giving the answer S from B, write S from B and put the answer. Wow. It seems some of us have gone for holidays. This place is so hot. Or we don't understand the question. Okay, S from B is equal to 220. Okay, S from B is equal to 220. Okay, what about B from S? What about B from S? S from B is equal to 320. Wow. Wow. Are you guys avoiding B from S? B from S is quite easy. B from S, 320. Hmm. B from S is quite easy. S from B, 320. Wow. Okay, let's look at it together because of time. So if we have, first of all, B from S. B from S means we are starting from S. We are going towards B. Okay. B from S, 140. Let's look at it. B from S, we are already giving B from S. Remember when we are giving the drawing initially, whatever we had here is what we had as the journey continues. So B from S is just 40 degrees. It was already given here. It's just there. But the only thing is that instead of putting it here, I kept it here. This angle and that angle are the same. If you check the first example we did, the angle we had here, which was 45 degrees, that was the angle we put here and then added 180 degrees. So B from S was already given, which is 40 degrees. And then S from B, all we need to do is add this angle on a straight line, which is 180 degrees. So B from S is 40, 40 degrees. And then S from B is 40 plus 180, which is 220 degrees. Okay. So we've gotten that. B from S is 040 degrees Remember, we have to make three numbers or three digits, 0, 40 degrees. And then S from B is 220 degrees. So let's look at another one. Okay. A from S. A from S. And S from A. S from A. Be careful on this one. A from S. S from A. A from S. S from A. One of them is already given. One of them is already given. We have a few minutes left for the class. A from S, S from A. Okay, somebody's saying A from S, A from S, 150 degrees. A from S. Look at the story well. A from S. A from S means you're starting from S and you're going towards A. That's what A from S means. A from S is equal to 150 degrees. A from S is equal to 150 degrees. Okay? That's your answer. If A from S is equal to 150 degrees, then what will be S from A? Okay, Lawrence said S from A. S from A is equal to 320 degrees. Okay. Okay. 320 degrees. A from S. A from S is equal to 150 degrees. Okay. You see, the most important word in bearing is this, from. Very important. And that was what I explained at the beginning of the class. What does that from this, what does it represent? Where are you starting from? Where are you ending? Seems some persons have deleted their answers. Okay, let's see. Lawrence said A from S. A from S is 320. Okay. A from S is 320. Okay, we'll have 1 minute more before we look at the correction. 1 minute more. S from A. S from A is equal to 120. Okay. Okay. A from S is equal to 030. Hmm. Hmm. 30 seconds more. Okay, let's look at the correction. Let's look at the correction. Now, let's look at the first one. The first one is S from A. S from A is given already. S from A means you're starting from A, and the direction of S from A is already given as 150 degrees. So S from A is 150 degrees. That's already given. S from A means you are going to S from A, and it has already been given as 150. So how you play with these words is very important. Okay, so we look at that one. Next, we want to go from S to A. That is now A from S. So if you look at this, if you have a line going through this entire place is if you have, for example, here is 180 degrees, correct? What can we do here? Give me a minute. Give me a minute. I'm trying to see the best way we can use to get this done. Okay, the best way we can get it done, let me wipe this off. So if we have a line going south, right? From north down to south is 180 degrees. But now you have an angle like this, which is this down here, this. That means this angle is equal to this angle. So if this is 150, this is also 150. When you have an angle like this, let me draw it well. You have it like this. So this angle here is equal to this angle here. They are also alternate angles. They are alternate angles. Okay? So you're going to have 180 degrees plus 50 degrees plus 150 degrees. So this will give us 330 degrees. So the total turn is 330 degrees. So as I said, we observe that this is an alternate angle, which is this. Then also we observe that this straight line here is equal to 180. So when you add 150 plus 180, that will give you 330 degrees. Okay, what I'm going to do for more practice, I'm going to post a picture. Yeah, somebody said 360 degrees minus 30. 360 degrees minus 30. Okay. That could also work. That's correct. Because this angle here will be 30 degrees. If you have a straight line this way, if here is 150, here will be 30. That's also correct. Okay. So you can solve these things by observation. But what will make some persons struggle is when you don't have good knowledge of angles. Okay, so this is on the prerequisite knowledge for this is your understanding of angles. Angle on a straight line, right angle, complementary angles, alternate angles, and all those different variations of angles. If you like us to learn that topic, I'd like to see it in the comments. If you want us to learn about angles. If you like us to learn about angle, I'd like to see it in the comments. So we can have a special day for that one. Apart from the one that every student can vote for. You can just learn that one because you might be struggling in this topic if you don't have a good understanding of the topic that should serve as a foundation for this topic. Okay, so one person has said out of 8 persons, that's not a pass mark. So I have an assignment that I'm going to post on the platform, an assignment that I'm going to post on the platform. Okay, we're going to learn it next week, not this week, next week. I'm going to let you guys know the particular day. If by Wednesday next week I have not talked about this particular extra class, please remind me. Okay. So I'm going to post a question on the WhatsApp group that you can practice because it's almost an hour and I don't want to shoot past an hour. I have the question here, but I might not be able to write it on the board right now. Okay, so we'll continue on Friday. So the assignment I'm going to post on the platform, when we come on Friday, we are going to do the correction and then we solve more questions on bearing. Possibly, if I have my equipment, we are going to do construction. So when you come on Friday, try to come with what you can use to do construction, like your ruler. I don't think protractor. No, Yeah, protractor. I don't have them here, but I'm going to get it before Friday so that we can do construction using bearing, because you don't, there are sometimes you might not need to calculate, you can just construct on bearing. But if on that day we don't have many persons with the constructing materials, we might not do that topic. But if we have, we are going to focus on construction. Okay. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being here up to this point. I need to prepare for my one-on-one class in about 1 hour time. Thank you. So see you on Friday. See you on Friday. Have a wonderful evening. Good night. God bless.